Now, not winning was a real body blow for Manchester City, but could that last-gasp Jeremy Doku equaliser against Everton actually end up winning City the title? Well, Pep Guardiola knows his side's fate is now out of their hands, but he told us he's already forgotten about the Everton game and that he's motivated by more than just winning titles.
Pep, looking back now to Monday night, you've had a few days since then. How do you reflect on that point that you gained in the comeback that you showed at Everton?
Forgotten, like in a good moment, yeah, of course, and Brentford next, and try to make us, the title alive.
You talk about that title being alive, so how important can that point be, or could it turn out to be?
The game against Everton?
Yes, with that point, how important can that point be?
We'll see in the past, we'll be better with 3 points, but it's better than, than don't have any of them. Yeah, we'll see in the final. So.
Well, it looks like Pep is going to have to do without Rodri again for tomorrow's match against Brentford. The midfielder has missed City's last 2 games, including Monday's draw with Everton. But Guardiola played down the impact of the Spain international's absence.
Well, we have survived without him for many, many months. Make a little bit problem of that. Still, he doesn't feel completely comfortable, and when he will be ready and fit and come back, we'll see this afternoon, hopefully tomorrow. So we'll come back.
What a week it's been for Mikel Arteta's side, though. First seeing City drop those points on Monday and then reaching the Champions League final on Tuesday. They're now just 4 wins away from what would be an historic double.
Every week when I speak to you, it's 1 game less, 1 game less. You are so close now.
That's good, because if it's 1 game more...
You're so close now. So 4 games from an extraordinary season, potentially an historic one, for something the club's never done before. What's your feeling and what's your messaging to the players and maybe the supporters as well?
Stay present, live the moment, prepare, and show the same level of energy, hunger and desire that we've shown all season, or more, because as you said, we are closer and closer, and everything that we do know is going to matter to win it or not.
Well, there were big celebrations at the Emirates on Tuesday as Arsenal reached that first Champions League final in 20 years. But they've been criticised by some for going over the top. Well, this is what Arteta had to say about that.
Well, first of all, I didn't know about it, but I don't know. I think you have to respect every opinion and place them where they belong.
Where do you place them?
Where they belong. I don't know. That's not important.
Now, it has been a week of contrasting fortunes for Arsenal and Manchester City as the title race pendulum swings back in Arsenal's favour.
I've been able to always react, including during the games and during the season, with poor performance, poor results, but the next one comes in and we'll be able to perform well, achieve a result. This is what we expect from Sunday. We've proven ourselves that here at West Ham nobody give up. So let's go.
We talked immediately after the game, and this is great. What a moment. We earn it. We will have time to prepare and get ready for that final. But now the focus, the attention, the detail, the energy, everything has to be put into West Ham. There is nothing else there, and we made it very clear.
A London derby for the ages on the cards, potentially, because you've got Arsenal chasing the title and you have a West Ham side in that relegation battle and in a place they don't want to be in.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about kind of how does Arsenal come down from what they've been through midweek. I mean, the Emirates was incredible. I know this is a game away, but I think that Fulham game for Arsenal last week, that is what I think the Arsenal fans and people have been waiting for. Because that was a potential banana skin, wasn't it? That game, and they won it so convincingly. Got it wrapped up more or less by half-time. Saka's back, firing all cylinders. Gyökeres, I mean, I know I've been quite critical of him this season, but, his numbers don't really lie. And I think of late, he's making those runs down and in behind, stretching the line. It's almost like when he first came to England, it takes a little while to adjust, but he was stepping in front, whereas now I'm seeing him causing problems for the back line. And to be fair to Wayne Rooney, he's been calling it all season.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Gyökeres is that he was bought to be the difference in games that otherwise would have been tight. If you think about his recent run, 9 goals in his last 12 games, more than any other player during that sequence, which stretches back to January. And he's showing where that money has gone. He hasn't been spectacular, but he has scored nearly 20 goals for Arsenal this season. I agree with Leanne. I think as far as he is concerned, he is the reason, a big part of the reason why they are now within touching distance.
Probably his best performance in an Arsenal jersey was that Fulham game. I'm wondering from an Arsenal perspective if this has been their best week, certainly your best 24 hours with what happened on Monday night and then Tuesday going through to a first Champions League final in 20
I think it
years.
is. They didn't expect what happened on Monday night. None of us did, especially when Man City took control of the game. But then they had to come down again to be able to be focused on the Atletico Madrid game, and they were able to retain that focus. Now they're in one final, and they are within touching distance of a double that nobody believed would be possible midway through the season, or during that period where they were dropping points, losing momentum, running out of hope. Questions were swirling around about Mikel Arteta and his future at the club. Now they look strong, they look focused, and they are masters of their own destiny.
And mentally as well, I think psychologically coming down from a game like the other day, it'll be interesting to see how they respond because, you know, a team like West Ham are down in the thick of it between them and Tottenham. You know, this is a massive game for them. And you look at Arsenal's run of fixtures. I mean, I said Arsenal were going to win the league way back in October, November. And then last week I changed my mind and I said I think City are going to win it. And now I'm like, you know, where do we... As a pundit, it's like the greatest time, but it's almost like the worst time because predictions go out the window.
Don't worry, it's only Darren that goes on TikTok after this.
Yeah.
Not your comments. I think what has been incredibly stand out the last two games certainly is the impact of Bukayo Saka. And I know that he's been criticised all season and then he's been out a little bit injured, but he has come back and they're also managing him a little bit differently, taking him off around the hour mark.
Yeah, and I think you look at last season when he picked up that injury, for someone so young, you know, he's picked up quite a lot of really serious injuries and he's had a lot of impact on a player so young at Arsenal. When even Smith Rowe first burst on the scene, a lot of impact. So that's probably why they're managing Max Dowman a little bit better.
Yeah.
And someone like Saka, it's difficult because when he's available, you would want to throw him in. But I think, like, even when he spoke after the game the other day, I just love him. He's one of those players, like, it doesn't matter who you support. You love it when he talks. You can tell how much it means to him. He wanted to celebrate with the fans instead of doing an interview, but he knew his responsibilities. And, you know, he's been brilliant. Wasn't great at the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean.
It looks like he was maybe carrying something. Sometimes you need a reset, don't you?
I think he's suffered from being overplayed. I think because he's so productive for Arsenal, there's been an over-reliance on him. Some of the guys were crunching some of the numbers and realising that nearly 50% of Arsenal's attacks were coming down that right-hand side because they were so heavily reliant on his productivity. And the problem with that was that he was playing in games he didn't need to play in. Now, they obviously brought Madueke in to address that, and Madueke's been okay. He's not Saka, but he's been okay. But his numbers aren't that high, Saka. Only 7 goals so far this season. Could he be the difference? Maybe he could, but they do have that power from set pieces. They do have Gyökeres who can score goals. The midfield is going to have to step up in these last few weeks and maybe help him. It cannot be an over-reliance on Saka because that's what's caused some of the problems he's having now.
Mention the midfield, Miles Lewis-Kelly playing in there. And, you know, you talk about players needing a rest or being overused. You know, giving Zubimendi a rest has worked wonders against Fulham.
I don't even think, but I think now it's created a situation where I don't think Zubimendi's going to come back into the team. I think Miles Lewis-Kelly played that when he was at the academy, you know, and younger. And when I remember when he came into the first team in the Emirates Cup, I watched him play and he was playing in that position in a central defensive midfield area. And it was interesting that Declan Rice was saying, you know, the manager, the boss, has been quite hard on him this season because he hasn't defended very well, hasn't he? When he has played, Calafiori's been in there and it looked like him and, you know, Wanyeri's gone out on loan, but it looked like both of them would potentially leave. Now look what happens. He's playing in that defensive midfield area. And I don't even think now Zubimendi it'll be difficult for Arteta to make that decision because Miles Lewis-Kelly in that position has been unbelievable.
Yeah. Let's look at what's coming up for Arsenal and be interesting to get your take on whether you think he sticks with Miles Lewis-Kelly in that midfield alongside Rice. So the West Ham game, you know, Arsenal have won their last 2 at West Ham. I'm sure you'll give us all the numbers, Darren.
Yeah, 6-0 on 5-2.
The stakes are so different.
I think the stakes are different. I think this will be a huge game. I don't think it'll be a walkover for Arsenal, largely because I think it would have helped them more had West Ham been winners last weekend against Brentford. And maybe there could have been a bit of complacency. Maybe they could have afforded to drop points in this game. West Ham cannot afford that. Nuno will want them to respond in this match. They have to fight for their lives because Spurs were winners at Aston Villa last Sunday evening. So I expect this to be much more ferocious. I expect Mavropanos, former Arsenal player, to have the game of his life. He's been really good so far, and I will talk about him in a bit.
Yeah.
And I think as far as West Ham are concerned, the London Stadium is going to be a real cauldron for Arsenal. I don't think the points are a given in this match by any stretch of the imagination.
So you think maybe time for one more twist? Who knows the way it's been going?
Yeah, well, if you think about when Arsenal have lost the lead from the front, it's not been the big teams they've dropped points again. It's been the smaller teams.
Happened at West Ham last season.
Absolutely.
Penalty.
Yeah.
There you go. And this is exactly my point, that because they've had such a good week, as you were talking about, it's easy to think that they're going to go there and steamroller West Ham. But West Ham, they are at home. They are masters of their own destiny. Castellanos has been okay. Bowen, we know, is a huge threat. They've got set-piece threat as well. They've got creativity and power in that midfield as well. And it'll be interesting to see, because as you say, Skelly's done really well. Louis Skelly's done really well in midfield. Could it be one to put Zubimendi in, because you do need that physicality, you do need that game management? It will be a big decision for Arteta to make.
West Ham as well, and not kind of rolling over. I know last week 3-0 against Brentford, but like Mavropanos scores that own goal, then he scored a goal, obviously it was chalked off through VAR, but like they are still creating opportunities. There was an opportunity to hit the post, you know, like they're not just kind of, I think the fans will be delighted with the fact they're going down with a fight, although they'll be disappointed, you know, they're at least fronting up a little bit.
Absolutely,
and Brentford are a top side.
They hit the post 3 times in this match. Mavropanos was lucky to have a goal ruled out for offside. Unlucky to have a goal ruled out for offside. Mavropanos in the second half of the season has been outstanding. During the first half of the season, it was a bag of nerves, and you could see why they were where they have been. But when you need people to step up, he has done exactly that. There's an argument for saying that Brentford were a little bit lucky, but the table doesn't lie.
No.
And West Ham are feeling the effects of a really poor first half of the season, but they've stabilised, and at home they've been very, very good, undefeated in their last 6. So I don't think this is going to be a straightforward 3 points for Arsenal at all.
There's been an upturn since maybe January, and you mentioned those new signings come in. Only 3 losses in their last 11, and they went unbeaten through April with wins over Wolves. With Mavropanos, who you've mentioned, he got a double on that night. He also scored an equaliser against Manchester City. With Crescencio Somerville having had that purple patch, but the goals have dried up, they're finding a way to get goals from other players. It's been spread around the team.
That's absolutely right, and I think that's why this is going to be such a tricky match for Arsenal, because Somerville was poor last weekend against Brentford. Bowen wasn't his normal attacking, creative, cutting-edge self. There were so many players who underperformed in that match. I expect them to respond in this match, and I think most of all Mavropanos, because he is the colossus, if you like, at...
God, if I'm Mavropanos watching this, I'm thinking you're thinking he's Ronaldo.
Look at this footage and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I hear you.
In the box, he rises highest, he puts his body on the line in defensive positions, he finds a way to get a leg, a foot to an opportunity when the ball is in the 6-yard box, and he has been so strong. He's a real success story from this second
It's funny as well, because it was Max Kilman that was actually brought in to be that type of player, I think, for West Ham, and it hasn't really worked out. So fair play to Mavropanos. And like I said, the West Ham fans, we know historically they love a player that like wears their heart on their sleeve. You know, Jared Bowen is that person. Similar before, Declan Rice when he was there, Mark Noble. They want their players to turn up and fight. I think Arsenal will win this one. I know you don't think it'll be convincing. You're giving me hope. I know you know your stuff.
I think it might be a draw.
But I think Arsenal, don't sit on that fence now. Arsenal, I think, will win this one.
Predictions at the end of the show. Mavropanos turning into a fox.
Ronaldo.
Prime Ronaldo. Let's look at the fixtures, though, because West Ham have had that upturn and suddenly it has changed. And this is the relegation battle between Spurs and West Ham between now and the end of the season. Who has it tougher? And Leeds with the part to play for both.
I think it's tougher for West Ham, if I'm being honest, but the fact that Leeds have already kind of cemented, that was the one for me. When we're thinking about West Ham Leeds last day of the season, we were all thinking it would kind of be coming down to that, but Leeds have kind of done so well. Do you know what? I know Spurs got the result against Villa, but they've just been so poor, haven't they? Like, they've just been so poor.
I'm with you. I'm not convinced by Spurs still.
No.
I think West Ham, for me, I think Leeds are beatable. I think everybody beats Chelsea at the moment. They are so poor right now. 6 games in a row they've lost. Everton at home as well. End of the season, I think they will be on the beach, and they might have their sunglasses on and their... I forgot what they were called for a second. Flip-flops on as well. I think West Ham stay up still.
And Spurs down?
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow, that's a big call. I know that's going on TikTok.